IEA Wind Task 43, Working Group 4, use case demonstration launch webinar. So I think we will start by briefly introducing ourselves, organization name, so interest in the task. So I can start. My name is Shang Sheng. I'm a senior research engineer at Unreal. So I'm my responsibility for task 43. I started taking over as operating agent since last October. So Sarah Barber from OST is the other operating agent. So specific to working group 4, I'll say I have been actively involved for a long time. Today I'm going to host this for you all. Sarah?
Sarah on, yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry, I just cut out. Did somebody say something to me?
Yeah. Brief introduction. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. I'm the other co-operating agent of Task 43. Most of you probably know me from other working groups. I lead the Wind Energy Innovation Division at the Eastern Switzerland University of Applied Sciences. It's not actually called OST. It's called Ost, which is a word in German, which means east. Yeah, nice to meet you all. I've been a bit involved in the use case work, but I'm passing over the leadership to other capable people. So I'm looking forward to taking part in this as a participant. Yeah, thanks for being here, everyone, and enjoy it.
So I think I will start. Maybe next, Dias, you can introduce yourself. Hopefully, I can remember who introduced already.
You could be here all day, yeah. Yeah, my name is Des Farn. I'm with a company called ServiceNet here in Ireland. We do operational analytics, and I've been involved in Task 43 for phase 1 and now for this current phase 2. And I've been involved in the use case activities as well as the organizing committee. And when Sarah says she's been involved a little bit in use cases, it's a bit of an understatement, because I think there was quite a bit of work last year, and I look forward to updating you on some of that and seeing how we can take it forward in this phase.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I will just start by looking at my screen. I think calling for people to introduce. Tom?
Hi folks, I'm Tom Clark. I run Octu, and our mission is to help scientists and engineers work more effectively with data. We do kind of quite a lot of work around JSON schema and things like that, and digitalization. So we've been involved with various different branches of IEA, or IEA Wind anyway. I'm here for WG4 just to get a bit of an understanding of what's been going on in this area of WG4.
Great. So Stephen Holleran.
Hi. Yeah. Hi. My name is Stephen Holleran. Work with Brightwind. We do energy yield assessment based in Ireland. Name is Des. I've been a wind analyst 20 years, and I've been involved with this Task 43 for 4 years on the wind resource assessment group, and I'll be showing you a bit about that later on. That's me.
Great. Thanks. Let me make sure. I will try to pronounce your name. Satoshi Saka?
Yeah, that's good. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm Satoshi from RISE Research Institutes in Sweden. We work on research projects, and I am very new to this task. I just joined a couple of months ago, and we have our industry partners here who are very interested in getting better digital solutions for their wind farms and their turbines. So I'm here to see what I can learn from here, and then possibly take some of this information and demonstrate them getting help from our industry partners later on. Thank you.
Great. Dimitris?
Yes, hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Dimitris Kiritsis. So I am Professor Emeritus of EFL, the Corporate Technique Fédérale de Lausanne in Switzerland. Now I am Senior Advisor at the University of Oslo, in the lab at the Department of Informatics, working with the oil and gas ecosystem here and developing what we call information modeling framework, meaning that we start with a system model of assets that we have. This is transformed to ontologies and then finally to a knowledge graph that can be used for applications. So I was invited to, it is first time for me to join this group. I was invited by Sean after a meeting in Maryland, where I presented what we're doing, and it seems it is interesting. So here we have collaborations with companies like iBell or iCare Solutions or Equinor that are developing, constructing, using wind farms, etc.
Great to have you here. Noah, you pop up.
Thanks, Sean. Good to see you all, see some familiar faces. I'm Noah Myrant, and I'm at EPRI. I'm a senior technical leader. I've been in the wind industry since about 2010, crossing over academia, private sector, and now nonprofit, working with utility owner operators. So I lead some of our research areas involving digitalization, severe weather aspects, especially with climate change in mind, and working closely with Lily on our blades R&D here at EPRI. So good to meet y'all.
Great. Donatella?
Hello, hi, hello. My name is Donatella Zappalà. I'm an assistant professor at TU Delft in the Netherlands. My research is mainly related to operation and maintenance aspects, wind farms, both onshore and offshore. And then I have been involved already in the Task 43 in the previous, let's say, version. And I worked with Sean, Dan, and Sarah, and the others on the use cases. So I think that Sean will explain a little bit more about that later on. Nice to meet you all.
Great. Anna Maria? No, you're muted.
Good, yes. Hello, my name is Anna Maria Semperviva, and I've been in wind energy since 84, but I retired from the technical at the University of Denmark 1 year ago, but I'm still involved in the digitalization issue, because since 2017, I was working on a European project, and I was coordinating an effort to make the taxonomy for the wind energy sector. And then I entered the Task 43, and we made some interesting papers about digitalization, and I'm very interested in how semantic is helping in transforming data in knowledge.
Great. Yu?
My name is Yu Ding. I'm a faculty member of Georgia Tech, and I also am a member of the organizing committee of Wind Task 43. I probably know half of the attendants here, and very pleased to get to know the other half as a new friend and colleague, and to look into this very important issue. Thank you.
Luis?
Hey everyone, I'm Louis Armistead. I work for Apex Clean Energy. We do development, construction, and operations of renewable projects, including wind. We do solar, hydrogen, and battery as well. I am the data operations manager at Apex and part of their asset management division. So mostly operational analytics and data enablement is what I do. And I'm interested in learning about new use cases and seeing how people are applying data around the industry.
Great. Alex?
Hi, everybody. Alex Byrne. I work for DNV as a consultant, and I've been in the industry for over 15 years, mostly from the aspect of turbine technology. And I've been involved in the task for a number of years, I think at least 3 years, maybe 4 at this point, working with Des on the O&M use case, which I'll be presenting a little bit on today.
Great, thanks. So yeah, on the right of my screen, Maximilian, I think, I'm from Rainbow.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Max from Ramboll. So as we are known as substructure designer, my team is also doing a lot of services around operation and maintenance and monitoring. So digital twin is something we are looking into quite heavily.
Great, welcome. Good to meet you. I just saw another email popped up. Ballot, Jean. Did I get your name right? Maybe not. So let's move on to Roop. Are you with us?
Hi, everyone. Roop Caravo. I was introduced to this task at the beginning and then was not able to continue with it. And I am pleased to be back. And so I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone. Some folks are familiar and there'll be new friends made. So really happy to be here and looking forward to learning and contributing.
Great. Good to have you here. So yeah, I will repeat again. But Jane, I think you just turn on your camera, if you could. Maybe, yeah, he's tied up with something else. Let me go to Kristen.
Hi everyone, my name is Christian Jonsson. I am an R&D engineer for a company called Kudo. We are a fresh spin-off from Natural Power, providing software for the wind industry. I'm involved with quite a few different activities of Task 43, and I'm here today mostly out of curiosity to see what's the intention is with the use cases and if I can get involved somewhere.
Great, good to have you.
And unfortunately, I can only join for the first hour. So my apologies.
Okay. No worries. Constant, turn on your microphone. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. My name is Kostis Grillias. I'm associate professor at Catholic University of Leuven in Belgium. I'm working mainly on monitoring of rotating machinery. Yeah, and I'm here to try a bit more to understand a bit more how I can be involved in this activity.
Great. Let's see. So let's. Can we try here? I cannot see the organization, unfortunately. But with Vesela, Violet, can you introduce yourself briefly? Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Yves. I'm product manager on the digital management platform for measuring instrument, and not only. I'm of course interested in the use cases for managing measured data during resource assessment phases, mainly. And I having some difficulty being available for all meetings within IEA 43, but of course, for me, it's very important to understand the use cases.
Great. Olga?
Hello, everyone. My name is Olga Doronina. I'm a researcher in Computational Science Center at NRL. I'm new to the Task 43. I'm interested to see what work is being done in this group and if I can be involved in any of it. Thank you.
Welcome. So Abidi with Rise, I think.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hamid. I'm a researcher at RISE Research Institute of Sweden, working within the Renewable Energy System Group. And I'm mostly involved in the numerical simulation of the wind farm and wind turbine, and mostly related to the wake loss and turbine loading. So that would, and also I'm new in this group, and looking forward to see about the use case demonstration. Thanks.
Great. Welcome. Lily?
Oh, okay, cool. Hi, my name is Lily House. I work with Noah at EPRI. I'm on the wind team. I do most of my research in component reliability and blade damage. And a lot of my work is just using data. So I'm pretty excited to get into this use case demonstration and see how I can contribute.
Awesome. I think that's all. Did I miss anyone? if I missed, please speak up. All right, welcome all to this webinar. Great to meet some new faces and seeing a lot of old friends here. I know, yeah, all of us have busy schedules. I really appreciate that. So you can all see my screen here. I will quickly walk through some slides. There is a session. I think we will have some interaction through a polling software. So yeah, we will have some engagement. You need to provide some inputs. So what we have planned, I will start out by giving a short introduction to Task 43, and then Des will pick up to give us a use case creating process discussion on under working group 4, and then the two currently deep dive use cases. When the resource assessment, Stephen will give a briefing on that, and the risk-based maintenance, Alex will talk about it. So after that, I will present the new deep dive use cases, digital twins as decision support tools. I would say it's only at the planning stage. We got the interested parties identified at this point. We haven't taken any specific actions yet. And then the other path to create deep dive use cases is through the collaboration with other IEA wind tasks. That's something I will touch on briefly as well. And then I will move on to give you an update on the ongoing activities under working group 4 and some draft planned deliverables for Task 43, including working group 4, and how you can participate. Then I will summarize, okay? So this is the part I think Stephen may know the best. You either need to log on to the web site or you can scan the QR code. Stephen, can you give us some advice? Maybe
I would say just go
I
to
will
the
take out
website
my cell phone and see. Can you all get in here? Okay, let's see. Let's move on here. Yeah, I skipped the previous slide. I think if you could log on using your full name, that'd be awesome. So we can analyze the data a little better. So yeah, glad to see colleagues coming on both sides of the pond. I need to write registration. Let me see. Again. Okay, so it appears all of us have got how to play with this tool. Let's move on to the content. Next question is, how familiar are you with working group 4? Quite a bit. Want to learn more? Okay. Already involved. Okay. Good. Never heard of it. Okay. Want to learn more. Appears to be a majority, right? Okay. Already involved. Good. So yeah, thanks for your inputs. On Task 43, as you may or may not know, we started the task back in 2019 and completed phase 1. And the phase 2 was proposed. The task extension was proposed last October. Sarah presented to the Expo committee, and it was approved for 3 more years. The new vision is for us to unlock the full value of wind energy through digital transformation, right? It's a mouthful. Our mission is to serve as a digital transformation catalyst. So we want to create open source kind of collaboration community within and beyond the wind community. We want to share knowledge and learn from each other so that we can deliver insights, recommendations, standards, and tools in the key areas of data, culture, and competition. So you may wonder where data, culture, competition came from. So that's from one of our deliverables under the task. It's the grand challenge in terms of digitalization for wind energy. So in that article, we conducted a lot of surveys. The survey results told us the three biggest challenges for digitalization in wind industry is data, culture, and competition. Okay. So how do we organize currently? As I mentioned earlier, I'm the cooperating agent from Unreal, representing US, and Sarah is from Switzerland, the other cooperating agent. So we have an organizing committee. Nikolai, unfortunately, he cannot make it today. Yu is with us, and Des. Gibson cannot make it. Stephen is with us. Yeah, Peter Anderson, I think he is not as active as people during the first phase. So, and then for the industry advisory board, before I move on to the industry advisory board, I think how do we organize, operate between operating agents and the organizing committee is we have regular organizing committee meetings, discuss the key matters under the task, and yeah, they brainstorm new pathways, those kind of things. And all of the key important logistic points we will bring up from the operating agents to the organizing committee, so to make some decisions. And for industry advisory board, you can see Peter's name is also over here, and Jean from BP, Matthias from Siemens Mesa, Tim Naylor, and Heidi from Orsted, Andrew, Michael. So I would like to point out for both the organizing committee and the industry advisory board, these were from the phase 1 of Task 43. We are currently visiting all of these, interacting, I would say maybe the right word is to re-engaging with them, trying to see whether they are still interested in continuing to serve in the industry advisory board or also in the committee roles, right? So that's where we are going through right now as one of the tasks. So for the activities for the task. So we may have new members to join both the organizing committee and the industry advisory board. That's for your information. So moving on to the participating countries, you can see a long list. I think for IEA Wind, it has maybe 24 or 25 countries. So you can see we are a small subsite. But I would like to point out, not all of these countries are official participants. By official participants, I mean the country government representative has paid the membership due to Task 43. So, but I think one of the spirit of Task 43 is to create a collaborative community to share knowledge, right? I think we have been very open to all the participants, although some kind of are not official. We are going through that process. Sarah and I are working on the process with each country. It's interesting to find out. It appears different countries have different processes. Try to make sure we recognize the official participants, and we are also open to the unofficial participants to be an observer and giving them opportunity to learn and adopt our best recommendations or practices. So the accomplishments highlights the paper, Grand Challenge paper I mentioned earlier, and my Data Challenge webinar series, all of these with links. So you can find out details on those later, the glossary and the knowledge engineering in wind energy paper, open data and the codes. So majority of these are posted on the task website, iewindtask43.org, You can learn more, find a lot of materials here. We also have the GitHub. I think Stephen will list that later as well. So just created a repository for blade maintenance on GitHub. So more materials will be populated there as well later. So we are partnering with a lot of groups within IEA tasks. So I gave a little bit description to each. So for those who are not familiar, you know whom we are trying to work with, partnering with task 47, 50, 51, 52, 55. We just had a brainstorming session with 55. That's traditionally the system engineering group, trying to figure out how we can potentially work together to contribute from digitalization side to that task. So they don't need to worry about too much about the data preparation side of things, as we have always heard. 80% of the data analysis, the analyst's time is spent on data preparation or cleaning, not on the analysis. We want to flip that if we could. So for IEC -15, -16, 25, 26. So when the Europe Digitalization Task Force, we have coordination meeting with them, trying to collaborate wherever we can. EBA, Digitalization Committee, ACP, Operation Maintenance Committees, and the ESIC. That's the Energy System Integrations Group in the US. It represents about 90, I think, to 95% of the US installed wind capacity in that group. So you can get a lot of first-hand information from that group, feeding our lessons learned to them. APRI, we have colleagues, Noah and Lily with us today. Research Data Alliance, I know Sarah attended their event and engaged with them. So in terms of data dissemination results, sharing with the community, we have various pathways. You can see presentations, publications, annual reports, and then papers, conference journal papers, technical presentations, right? Slack channel, GitHub website, Zenodo, and YouTube channels. So you can, if you're interested, you can find more details. So this chart illustrates the new working group organization at phase 2. So starting from the lower right, you can see we have working group 0. It's task management. So we start by collecting the needs, identifying the needs, interacting with people, looking at existing projects, try to get kind of the needed inputs to start some specific activities within each working group. And then it also in charge of the dissemination and coordination, basically output all of the lessons learned, tools, videos, papers. So that's kind of within the task management group. So you may notice there's an empty space here. Traditionally, this was where the collection and the prioritization of use cases located. So, I think after we started operating, it appears making more sense for working group 4 use case demonstration, this working group to take on. So that's why this space is empty and moved over here. And for the within working group 4, we have the coordination portion. We have the deep dive use cases. You can see a few sample lists here. But between all of these 2 working groups are kind of interacting with the other 3, in the ideal scenario, right? We have working group 1 data, 2 culture, and competition, as we mentioned earlier. So all of those have interactions among them, and also interactions with the working group 1, working group 0. So the learnings from the deep dive and people project feedback, all of those are fed to them, and their outputs in terms of tools, recommendation, knowledge can be circulated back. And this is kind of our new vision or organization of the different working groups. So as you may know already, working group 1 and the working groups 2 and 3 already launched. You can find the recorded videos from these 2 links. So So maybe I will pause a little bit here to answer any questions you may have. You can either throw in the chat or speak up. Okay. Or any additional comments? Sarah, you have anything additional to add? I may have missed.
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Amir, I know that you are joining us. Great.
Hi, Sean. Sorry for being late.
No worries. Yeah. Amir is with NTNU, has a lot of experience with digital twins, drivetrain set of things. So, moving on to working group 4, before I hand over to Dice, I want to introduce the currently the use case coordination team. Des is with us, and Maria, Donatella, and myself. The other two colleagues, Marcus with Fraunhofer. I don't know Marcus is joining us or not. And Katie Clark from IRA. So now I will turn it to Des. Des, I can run the slides for you.
Okay. So what I'll try to do here is recap on some of the activities, the use case related activities in phase 1. And probably the first thing to say is that you may have seen on Sean's slide at the very start on the Task 43 overview, our vision statement is to unlock the value of digitalization. In other words, what we've been trying to do, and we were doing through phase 1, was to demonstrate that digitalization can realize value. It's worth doing. And in fact, the two deep dive use cases you'll hear about later on from Alex and Stephen have been running for all of phase 1. And certainly the Alex's use case has been going, I think, from the start. It was one of the early ones. But when we started looking at how we were going to demonstrate the value of digitalization, it became clear that we needed to take a more systematic approach rather than just having one or two deep dive use cases. So we started looking at how we would collect or harvest use cases and use them to demonstrate value. So that's what we've been doing. And that team that Sean showed in the previous slide was up and running last year and made the first steps to try to organize use cases in the use case process. So maybe just go back to the slide there. Yeah, the next one, Sean. So on the left-hand side there, the goal is to demonstrate the potential of digitalization to add value, as well as some subsets of that, overall benefits, highlight the advantages of data-driven decision making, for example, demonstrate reference methodologies. So there's a list of things there that we think we can tackle once we describe use cases in a certain way. The right-hand column there is some of the high-level objectives in trying to curate use cases, because rather than just have a bunch of use cases that you can't work your way through or relate to specific activities that you might be looking at in your own organization, if we properly curate those use cases, we can start to do certain things like the topics listed on there on the right-hand side. So first of all, we can, for example, we can say, we have use cases that describe the key areas in the wind industry landscape. And once we've done that, we can identify where, we have lots of use cases in some areas and maybe large gaps in other areas. And people should be able to find use cases, should be able to link them to their own activities and various other things. So this was the motivation behind the team that started off, I think, mostly last year with Sarah chairing that, but maybe a little bit before that as well. And that team published a paper last year, which is linked on one of the later slides here, which people can refer to if you want to go into some detail on use cases and pain points. But this slide is probably the overall motivation for what we're trying to do. So maybe the next slide. So again, just to restate it, we're looking at having a number of, or producing a number of artifacts here. And the first one is a list of use cases, a database of use cases. And the second is worked examples, and these are the deep dives. So this process evolved out of a lot of the work that was done last year and what we think we need to do in the new phase 2 structure. Starting at the top left here, the first task is to harvest use cases, collect use cases, and collect them from a number of different sources. The paper that Sarah has just posted in the chat there collected a lot of information from a survey, and it was actually a survey on pain points, not a survey on use cases per se, but that yielded some interesting insights which hopefully are captured in that paper. But we'd like to continue that and maybe workshops or look at who else has published worked use cases in the industry. And as a result, hopefully, of this session, people will be alerted to discussions around use cases. So if we pick up examples from people attending other conferences or working in other work groups, that would be great as well. But the top middle then, we need, just as a placeholder to say we need to categorize these in some way. So going back to the previous slide where we need to be able to make the landscape, have it well described and have it navigable is the first task. So as these use cases come in, we think we need to fit them into this framework. And that's one of the jobs of this coordination team. And the reason the agreed framework is in red there is that the items in red I'll talk about on the 2 or 3 slides following this. But we have yet to do some work, quite a bit of work, I think, on describing this framework or this landscape or this taxonomy that we can fit use cases into. Coming out of that then at the top right, we'll have our use case long list or our use case working list. And the second task of the coordination team on the middle right is to delve into that a bit more and try to fill in the right metadata around each use case so that we can further refine its definition in the landscape or in the space of use cases. So out of that, in the middle, we'll have this reference list. So this will be the list. I think anyway, this will be the list that if somebody asks task 43 in general, how can you be sure that digitalization yields value or releases value? We can refer to this reference list in the middle here, and we'll have done sufficient work in creating the metadata for that list for us to be able to describe why it's a valuable use case. It's a good representative use case. And then on the middle left is where we, as I mentioned, we have 2 deep dive use cases underway at the moment, which we'll hear about later on. But coming out of this revised or updated, continually updated reference list, we hope to identify further use cases for deep dive analysis. And the idea of the deep dive activities is to get into a sufficient level of detail that we can make more specific recommendations coming out of it. So I think in the 2 you'll hear about, there's quite a list on both of those of things that we would recommend. We recommend maybe to do differently. There are next steps coming out of them that we think will be useful to the industry, and we'll have some idea of the type of value that can be unlocked because of it. And then on the middle bottom, what we'd like to come out of the deep dive activities is 2 things. The bottom part of that block is intended to represent the products of the deep dive. So it could be open source code, it could be models, taxonomies, templates, specifications, but it's the actual work products that were put together as a result of the deep dive activities. And then at a slightly higher level, a document of describing what the learnings were from each deep dive. How was the problem defined? How were the solutions evaluated? Whatever they might be. And as I say, I'll talk about these shortly. And then finally, on the bottom right-hand side, the last step in the process is to look across the deep dives and indeed look across the reference list. And then for the, I should have put in the Working Group 4 coordination team, but between the Working Group 4 coordination team and I think the organizing committee, we need to extract higher level learnings yet again that we can apply at the overall task 43 level. And Sean showed how the Working Group 4 interacts with the other Working Groups 1, 2, and 3. So there may be recommendations for those teams, or there may be further recommendations from those teams. And last but not least on this slide, I was tempted to put in some feedback loops in here, but the slide was just looking too messy. But as we go through this, and say we're refining the reference list, there may be an opportunity to feedback or to harvest more information in a particular area. And likewise, when we get to the end of a deep dive, we could theoretically say this is not a workable use case. We've given it a good detailed examination, and we should take it off the list, or we should add 2 or 3 on the list. So it's not a completely linear process, but we'll work that out as we go. So the next slide, I'll just go through some of the items that I had flagged as red there on the process slide. As I said earlier on, there are lots of characteristics of these use cases, and certainly some of these we came up against in some of the activities last year. But first of all, we've got to describe the use case in some consistent way. We have to know which actors or a higher level view of it is what personas are involved in carrying out the use case. What pain points are related to the use case? What are the most challenging aspects of implementing or working through such a use case? And down at the bottom, we certainly felt from the previous work that we needed to identify the use case as fitting into somewhere in the asset lifecycle and also fitting into somewhere on the data lifecycle. And there may be other dimensions there as well. So this is part of the challenge in trying to develop this framework. And if you just look at the 2 diagrams on the bottom, oh, sorry, Sean, yeah, just stay there for a second. The one on the left is one that Sarah put together as part of our activities in this team last year. And that's an attempt to do a hierarchical classification of use cases and to fit in some of those characteristics into that. The hierarchical one on the right is some work done by some of our NREL colleagues that might also be a good starting point, and maybe the pyramid on the left can be subsumed into the one on the right in some way. The relationship network, the diagram up there is an early attempt to map, as you can see on the top of it, use cases, pain points, and those 2 life cycle dimensions. So I would say we've done quite a bit of work, and we've talked about this and looked at some ideas. Well, one of the activities now for phase 2 for the Working Group 4 coordination team and others who want to get involved is to help us define this framework in such a way that we can end up meeting some of the goals I showed on the earlier slide. Okay, Sean, next slide. So in order to fit it in, to assign or classify a use case into some point in that multidimensional space, these are some of the metadata or some of the characteristics around each use case that we think we need to consider when we're doing that. But it's quite a long list. I won't go through it now. But some of the key aspects of it are, the use case description, which actors are involved, where in the life cycle it is, and then down towards the bottom there, some attempt to try to describe value. And I'll come to that in a second. But we think One of the things going from the long list to the reference list, one of the key things that the working Group 4 coordination team can do, is to build this list for that shortlisted, say, 20, 30 use cases. And this then will help us decide or prioritize which deep dives we want to do next. Next slide, Sean. So again, just to restate it, we said the high-level vision for Task 43 is to assess our unlocked value of digitalization. But one of the learnings coming out of some of the activities, again, so far on the use case work, is there are many interpretations of value. These are just some of the ones we had listed. The obvious ones like revenue improvement or cost reduction. There's cycle time. There's alleviating pain points. That could be a reason for assigning a high value to a use case and saying we should do a deep dive on it. And then on the right-hand side, there are probably lots of things. Time to X, as I have it there. A decision, time to market, time to insight. Sean mentioned the 80% overhead in preparing data to get some analysis done. That's one of the big obstacles in time to insight in any analysis. So what can we do there, or can we come up with use cases that would tackle that one, for example? So again, lots of work, I think, to do in terms of refining our understanding of value around the use case and using that value then to help us prioritize. Next one, Sean, please. I think this is the last one. As I showed on the workflow diagram earlier on, we want to capture lessons learned out of the individual deep dives, out of the reference list, and out of the learnings across the deep dives, the common themes across deep dives. So this is just, again, a working draft of a template that might help capture lessons learned. Again, it's up for review, but it's hopefully will stimulate some thinking on what it is we could extract from use case experience. I mentioned some of them earlier on. The definition of the problem, why the problem was chosen, what were the options in inventing or developing a solution for it, and then what were the pros and cons of the approach taken. And as shown on the right, then from that, we should be able to make some higher level recommendations around recommendations for standards, for skills development, for further research areas, whatever it is. So we're trying to be as systematic as we can in this because, again, one of the things we've seen from the deep dives, I think, is that a lot of creativity went into those deep dives, a lot of expertise went into those deep dives, and really good findings were encountered along the way. And the challenge is just to make sure we capture that and feed it into the Task 43 overall recommendations and indeed roadmap. So as it says at the bottom, these will feed in to some of our higher level dissemination deliverables. And I know Sarah's put it in the chat, but the link at the bottom there is the use case paper that I mentioned earlier on. So that's a whirlwind tour through some of the thinking so far. Definitely probably should pause for comments at this point.
Yes, thank you so much, Des. I think as Des mentioned, the paper Sarah led, authored, presented before, we think the process we developed within Working Group 4 is extremely valuable. It could be generalized, applied broadly. I think one of our hopes, I would say, is to automate if we could. So Sarah spent a lot of time walking through in the whole team, I would say, providing inputs manually, prioritize, ranking all of these use cases, pinpoints, and came up with the statistics. So it's a very valuable process. But if we could automate the whole thing to make it more efficient, that will be a good demonstration of the task itself. So I think, any questions, comments for Des? Before we move on?
Or indeed from any of the working group 4 coordination team, Sarah, Donatella,
and Maria, and I see Marcus is on with us. Marcus?
Yeah.
Any addition? Oh, good. Yeah, I would say the whole process we set up here and the end deliverables here. I may comment one thing on the deep dive use cases. We have a vision. I may or not have time to touch on later, so I will speak up about it now. So we want each deep dive use case itself, when it's completed, it can be shared or published, described as a demonstration of all the best practices or recommended practices from Task 43, from the data preparation to the end reporting. So that's what we would like to accomplish. So it's openly shared with the community. The industry, broad community can access, can copy, and extend to transfer that lesson learned to your own applications. That's what we hope to accomplish. Okay.
Sorry, Sean, I just wanted to add something I forgot as well. I mentioned the Industrial Advisory Board in there on the middle left. It probably could be applied to a few other blocks in that diagram as well. But one of the tasks, I think, throughout this process will be to ensure that we maintain the relevance of the use cases to industry and the challenges. So the IAB is certainly one way of doing that, and we may look for other ways as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay. I think, we want to make sure what we work on are valuable to the community and maximize all of our efforts into the return from what we put in, right? Okay. All right, let's move on to the update for the currently active deep dive use cases. So we will start with Stephen on the burn resource assessment data model, and then we will move on to Alex on the risk-based maintenance. Stephen, I can run the slides for you.
Yeah, that's great. Hi, everyone. Stephen Holleran here again. So we've been working on the wind resource assessment group on a data model for the last 4 years since the very start. I joined close to 4 years the group and kind of lead it now. You can go on to the next slide. Thanks. So the purpose of the wind resource assessment data model. So our little group has a mission for making the energy yield assessment process more efficient, transparent, and reproducible through digitization and automation. The foundation block for any digitization project, we think, is to standardize the data that you have. So the whole thing that we've been working on for the last 4 years is standardizing how a measurement station is digitally represented. Use case for that is that it allows easier collaborations. So if you think of an example of a wind farm being sold, a whole load of documentation gets put into a data room, and every single potential buyer has to review all that data. A wind analyst on behalf of any potential buyer has to review all that information, PDF documents, calibration certificates, installation reports, maintenance reports, the data, processing the data. All this information is just dumped into a data room, no format, no standardization or anything, and it takes weeks and weeks for every single wind analyst to do the exact same thing, where it should be a case of getting the data in a standard format, plug it straight into your software and do the analysis straight away. So standardizing the data makes for easier collaborations. And then obviously on top of that, you can do lots of automation. And go to the next slide. So it's been going for the last 4 years, and there's been lots of contributors, volunteers. Everyone's volunteering their time. Various different organizations from industry and academia, and from different devices loggers, mass loggers, LiDARs, floating LiDAR people, and wind analysts who get it in the end. Next slide. So what is the actual wind resource assessment data model? So if you do measure data, solar or wind resource data, you get data in two types. You get the time series data, which is basically a CSV file, a tabular data on the left. You get timestamps and a column name with values. That's the time series data, fairly straightforward. The column name doesn't tell you much about what the data means. So you have lots of metadata to describe the time series data. And the metadata is usually made up from an installation document that a mass installer would provide, a PDF in PDF format. There'd be calibration certificates, which is calibration certificates for the anemometers, which again is PDF, which the wind analyst just needs to pull the slope and offset. You'll get photographs. You can get some digital metadata from the loggers, the format of the data files that the logger sends out, but sometimes they're just column names as well in respect of Campbell Scientific, very little metadata involved. So basically we got all this metadata in PDF documents that the wind analyst has to actually sift through and pull out relevant information to then understand what the time series means. If you go to the next slide. So on the left here, we've got a subset of that table from an installation document, which is in PDF format. You have like a particular anemometer that's connected to a particular channel in a logger. And it's mounted at a certain height, 80.1 meters, on a certain boom orientation. The slope that was typed into the logger is usually presented, and the slope and offset of what is contained in the calibration report is also presented. So all this data is hugely important for a wind analyst. It's in a nice human readable form, but a machine can't read it. So what the data model is doing is representing this data in a JSON format. So this is just a simple example of how you could represent the PDF data on the left as a JSON format. And this JSON format is commonly used and it can be easily processed. So the data model, the structure of the JSON isn't that's just nice and simple for this example. The data model provides the instructions for how to structure that JSON content. So it's actually a JSON schema file, and that shows you how to structure all the different parts, properties of what an anemometer is, how it's connected to the logger, calibration certificates, whether it's a mast or a LiDAR, or what is the physical structure of the mast. And there's some specific configurations for LiDARs as well. So that's what the data model is. It's a JSON schema to give instructions for how to format the JSON. Next slide. And so, yeah, we've been going for 4 years. We did a first release back in January 21. And then we did a proper version 1 release, which included a digital calibration certificate. So the calibration certificates that comes from wind tunnel calibration service providers. We've got a digital calibration certificate for that. Version 1.2 was a big one. No break-in changes, but we included lots of floating LiDAR metadata, sensors, measurement types, and units, which also included some of the MetOcean stuff. And what we're working on at the moment is a version 1.3 release, which is roughly the first half of this year, definitely. So we're expanding it to represent reanalysis or modeled virtual metmass data, and a bit more on MetOcean as buoys on their own that don't have an actual LiDAR on them. So ADCPs and some current information. Everything about the data model is on that GitHub repository. I'll put it in the chat later. We create issues in the GitHub repository and work through them. All the meeting notes, we kind of meet bi-weekly to talk about dissemination, promotion, and we can get into some deep technical discussions. All the meeting notes everything's in the GitHub repository. Everything's open and transparent. This work has been going for like 4 years, but it has kind of inspired a few other different groups. So the IEC-15 that Christian's on, the energy yield assessment group, they're trying to standardize the reporting of an energy yield assessment. And what Christian's trying to do is to take that standardized report and kind of create a digital exchange format, which is basically used in JSON schema as well. And then we got the IEC-16, which is trying to promote digital power curves, create a standard for digital power curves that Tom Clark is heavily contributing to. And so this kind of work has kind of inspired a few other similar types of work. Next slide. So we've got quite a bit of industry adoption, and because it's complete open source, it's difficult to know exactly how much adoption has gone on, but we definitely know about these groups. So large wind farm developers, logger providers, floating LiDAR providers, software people have all adopted it. It's been specified in commercial contracts, especially in floating LiDAR. So developers are specifying that they want to get this data in the WR data model format from floating LiDAR providers. There's software providers like Windographer from UL that have implemented the data model, so you can load in the data model into Windographer and it pulls out all the configuration and sets up your Windographer file perfectly for you, so then you can just go do your analysis. We ourselves here are building a data management platform, and there's been a few other startups, Altosphere being one as well. And yeah, if you know of anyone else that's adopted the data model that we don't know about, I'd love to know. So it's gaining traction. It's gaining traction. Next slide. Yeah, that's pretty much it. As I said, we got the GitHub repository. I'll put it in the channel. The Slack channel is for the whole of Task 43, and we have a little group for wind resource assessment. And if you just want to reach out, just my email is there, stephen@brightwindanalysis.com. And if you got any questions, email or the issue log in the GitHub repository. That's a quick overview of what we've been doing.
Great, thank you so much, Stephen. I think maybe we can pause for a minute or two for the audience to give you an opportunity, since you are attending, to ask Stephen some questions. Questions, comments? Good, that's a positive. Claps. So I would like to point it out, we have been using this as a kind of motivator or value kind of advocate all the time at different events. So at our own product meeting, the drivetrain reliability workshop, or other digitalization workshop, I would say the PDF to this from kind of a paper to computer in my mind. That's a huge jump and a great improvement. So that's something I would say under Task 43, you can get access to, you can get a value from, right? So how can we standardize practices, do only the best recommended by the experts? You can minimize the efforts, resources in terms of data preparation from your side. Okay, thank you. If no more questions, maybe Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. So I put together just a few slides about the use case that I've been working on for the last few years. So we've been focused on risk-based maintenance for blades and how to enable that through this use case. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So our mission statement is to demonstrate concrete value of digitalization to wind O&M through data-driven decision modeling. We've taken the approach of applying decision modeling to wind turbine blades. So our potential user would be somebody who is responsible for making decisions about wind turbine blade maintenance, such as when to make repairs, when to make inspections. We've got an example photo here of leading edge erosion. It's extremely common, and it can be difficult to make a decision about when it should be repaired. It's not a structural issue unless it's extremely severe, but it does have an impact on energy capture, and there is, of course, a notable cost to doing repairs. There's also decisions around leading edge protection, which comes at additional cost and downtime, and may prolong the time between repairs of leading edge. But there's a lot of uncertainty around those timelines and what's kind of the optimal decision timing for repairs. So we've pulled together a really great team from pretty broad areas of expertise, but they've kind of filled in all the right gaps. So Yanni Nielsen from the University of Aalborg has been doing the Bayesian decision modeling. Josh Paquette and Ryan Clark and even Evan Sproul from Sandia are bringing in expertise around composites and damage propagation and economic modeling. And then Noah and Lily and myself are bringing in perspectives from owners and operators, and searching for partners to participate in this effort. And then Des has been a fearless leader, helping guide us along the way, as well as bringing in expertise and knowledge around cost modeling and kind of the higher level pulling this together vision. And Pablo Morato from DTU has also been bringing in knowledge from actually most of those areas as well, economic modeling and decision modeling. So this is a little bit more about where we've gotten to and where we're going. The team has been together for a long time, and I would say we're kind of more the tortoise than the hare. We're moving along. We're making steady progress, but at a slower pace than the other use case. But we have made progress. So we do have a few models that have been developed, and they will be getting put on GitHub in the near term. So they will be available as well. So that those models are listed here: leading edge erosion damage propagation model, which is required for the decision model, and then actual risk-based Bayesian decision model, which is kind of pictorially demonstrated in the lower right, and then a blade repair cost model. So these all come together to be able to help support those decisions. There are various scenarios that you can run through these models, but you're essentially asking the models the question of, when should I repair my damage? And the upper right kind of demonstrates that concept conceptually. So if you repair, let's say, leading edge erosion damage, which keeps coming back too frequently, then you're probably spending too much on repair costs. But if you repair it too infrequently, then you're probably losing money in the long run on your total the total picture of your cost and revenue, because you're losing AP that you could be regaining from repairing those leading edges. And then as far as the next steps go for our team, we've been doing pretty good on developing the technical content, but we haven't published anything formally. We have a few presentations that we've given in public forums, but we would like to get our results out into the industry. And then we also have started our search for industry partners to actually run scenarios for and get feedback from, and then kind of iterate on these models to make them as relevant as possible to the industry, and then of course publish again on our final results. So I put in lessons learned about kind of our experience together. I think we put in a lot of time into picking the use case, thinking about, is there a big need here? Is it something that the data exists and is good enough quality? Does the solution already exist, or can we develop the solution? What are the alternatives? And then what's the interest from the volunteers? We already had a group of folks who had expertise in this area, and we kind of filled in a few of the gaps as we went, but we started out with people who are really interested in this topic. We mostly were able to find volunteers through our personal networks. That has been really effective, especially as people on the team know best like what kind of technical expertise we really were needing, and then pulled in folks that they knew. And then ideally, those volunteers already have kind of a mandate or drive to publish or funding themselves, which is my next bullet point. And then, of course, the data. Can you realistically get data or fabricate sample data for testing your model? And we've done a little bit of the latter and are currently working on the former. And then, execution using folks who have, notable amount of time to commit to the effort. Luckily, everybody's been able to stay committed to this project as it has gone on for multiple years. Even though we've been moving forward slowly, we've still made great progress, and I'm really happy that the group has stayed committed to it. So this slide was just to kind of lay out what we're looking for in partners in case there is anybody who's interested in being a partner with this use case or know somebody who might be. Like I said, we're ready to try it out, and a partner would have the ability to kind of influence where it goes and work with some of the kind of top thinkers in this area. But we obviously are looking for kind of a commitment of involvement from the partner as well. So you've got my email address up there, or contact Sean if you're interested in participating in this use case or in partnering in the use case. We would love to have you.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. So we can pause for a minute or two if any of the audience has questions for Alex.
I'll put the GitHub link as well, though we have not put our codes in there yet. They will be in there very soon.
Great, thanks. Maybe, Alex, these models you mentioned here, were they published in different papers or something like that?
Not any papers. We've only presented on them.
All presentations. So good. So if those presentations, some point of time, again, I think you may populate them to the Google Drive.
That's right.
Great. So
the webpage, Sean, has a list of publications on it, and I think the ones that Alex is referring to are listed there as well.
Great. So our task website, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not good at multiple tasking, so I won't be able to enter into the chat right now. a little later I can do that. So
I'll have a look for it now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Satashi, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, just a question about these damage models. Is it calibrated to some experimental data or field data that you have, or is it more theoretical at this point?
So yeah, that's a good question. The damage model is theoretical, and then we have guidance for how to calibrate it to your specific site, because the sites are going to, different. The inputs are the rainfall distributions, so that is site specific, but then different blade types and leading edge erosion materials will erode at different rates, and so that can be input to calibrate the model as well.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. So I know that time is always going by fast. So yeah, as I mentioned when we started the meeting, we have prepared a lot of materials. Thanks to Stephen, Alex, and Des for going through all of these details with us. So next, I will quickly go through a few slides here about mostly our future plan. In my mind, I think for working group 4 and related to deep dive use cases, right? So you can see from the wind resource assessment or the risk-based maintenance, they were started during phase 1, and then it has been going on for a long time. And then only under the new phase, due to the new organization of different working groups, we try to make the management of the process streamlined under working group 4, right? Call them deep dive use cases. So I want to make that clear. But for new deep dive use cases, this is the I would like to quickly talk about the standalone, as I mentioned earlier, within Task 43. The next one we are going to launch is digital twins as decision support tools. The other path we can get into some new deep dive use cases is through the collaboration with other IEA wind tasks. But how do we do that? So for the digital twins as decision support tools, at this point, we haven't taken any specific actions yet. So we have just identified the parties who are interested in this effort. We have Rup from University of Windsor in Canada. Amir is with us in DNU in Norway. Max Penland, Rambo from Germany. Sarah, of course, and Nikolai cannot make it today. Todd Griffith and myself from the US. So we are all interested in this deep dive use case. And we will, I think the next steps, we will get together, discuss the scope, identify a lead for this deep dive use case, 1 or 2, and then come up with the timeline, deliverables, action items, so we can launch it, okay? So the right side, I just put a reference article. It's very relevant. It's digital twins in wind energy. Amir may know these authors. I think it's from Norway, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of things we need to specify among the group, right? So who are our main audience? Are we mainly serving the end users, the owner operators, or the OEMs, right? Or maybe the technicians? All of these we need to specify. Are we looking at the historical turbines, or we are looking into the future larger, let's say 20 megawatt reference turbines or 50 megawatt turbines? So all of those we need to specify. But I think based on the conversation I have had with Amir and Rup, roughly, we may focus was the kind of historical, maybe retro perspective with historical data. We can validate these digital twin models, and using those models as inputs, we can feed into a decision framework. Let's use the wind resource assessment deep dive use case as example, or maybe the risk-based maintenance. At the end, their outputs can be fed into the decision-making framework, ideally, right? Those are kind of the issues we would like to address. So using this digital twin as a kind of decision support tool as example, how do we ideally to organize a new deep dive use case? I know for the wind resource assessment and the risk-based maintenance, they were inherited historically from phase 1, right? We may not have followed all of these, but they have all the major technical pieces done extremely well. But this chart we put together is kind of the task 4.0. It's the coordination team within working group 4. We need to identify deep dive use cases, recommend all of those. That's went through the process already, right? So the bottom, the task 4.x, it can be wind resource assessment, can be risk-based maintenance, all right, replace the 4x, and can be digital twins and maybe other cases. So the end goal is, as I mentioned earlier, from the start to the end, we want to make it open source, repository all of those technical publications as a demonstration of the best or recommended practices, the principles advocated by Task Force 3. And feeding those are the middle blocks, right? The data preparation is kind of represented by the left, ontology, metadata, schema, the sharing, all of those. And the middle is modeling analysis, methodologies and codes. The right is kind of the results, reporting, recommended KPIs, all of benchmarking, all of those. This is still a work in progress. This is kind of only initial attempt for us to streamline the process. So we can, fill in the gaps in the wind resource assessment, risk-based maintenance, and for the new deep dive use cases, we can more or less follow this flow. Okay. So I think using the digital twin as example, we have identified the experts. We can organize next steps and determine a lead or two, and then come up with scopes, activities, deliverable timelines, all of those, and execution. So as the deep dive use case kicks off, we would like to have quarterly meetings between the coordination team within working group 4 and the deep dive use case leads, so you can still be connected. And also the deep dive use case leads, you can interact with other working groups or other tasks as needed. See, there is a subtask on digital twin, actually, ontology development within working group 1, task 1.2, and the schema development task 1.3, if I'm not mistaken. It may be beneficial for the digital twin deep dive use case to interact with them and get their support to fill in the data preparation needs, right? And in the end, information dissemination, we can release findings, lessons, recommended practices, and sharing all of these codes. And all of these publication presentations can be done when time or opportunity is appropriate. Okay, any questions? So yeah, I will just run through these since the time is going by so fast. Jointly with other IEA wind tasks, I was thinking we can fill in if we use the chart I showed earlier, the pyramid. So maybe we can fill in the middle left piece, right? Help them to standardize practices, make their process automated. And we can help with the vocabulary, taxonomy, ontology, schema, or metadata, all of those. So exception is execution, I would say, sorry. So we can combine the team members under task 43 and the other task. We started conversation with task 55, the reference wind plant model team. So we can join forces, so we can keep the communication transparent, efforts level shared between the two tasks. Reporting, these we in our reporting we may look at the benefits from digitalization lessons learned. I'm sure the process won't be smooth, right? There will be a lot of obstacles we need to go through. Data preparation, code sharing, all of those reporting can be included under task 43, but some exceptions. They may not, for these deep dive use cases, we may not need to follow the working group 4 process developed for standalone cases, right, within task 43. The information dissemination may be decided by the other tasks, not by us. So that's kind of the current thinking right now. We want to use this opportunity to expand, I would say, the opportunity for us to show the industry that the value from digitalization, that's what we want to accomplish. So that's why we have started exploring the opportunity to get new deep dive use cases through collaboration with other IEA wind tasks. So this is a kind of a specific question. So with reference to the previous slide, I would say, right? So the list of contributions we can provide to other IEA wind tasks. Are we missing anything? So if you have any suggestions here, please feel free.
I've joined the poll.com, but I'm stuck on the first page. I cannot go further.
Oh, it didn't go further?
Right.
Oh, that's bad. Maybe we will forget it for now. So given the time, let's forget the polling questions. So let's move on to the ongoing activities, okay, in the draft list of deliverables. So I think it's, the timing is about up anyways. So DICE went through that very detailed process for us to identify the deep dive use cases, right? So those we will refine, revisit, and we have got some new data. We will analyze those by following the process Sarah established with us earlier. And the streamlined process, we want to have those developed sooner or later. So how do we interact among the different working groups, minimize the overlaps or repetitiveness, so we can maximize our resources. So for working group 4, task 4.0, the coordination, we have bi-weekly meetings, deep dive use cases, regular meetings. I think Stephen has those going on bi-weekly. Maybe Alex may have a different kind of a plan, but they have each deep dive use case have its own meetings. Quarterly, we hope the deep dive use case leads can join the task 4.0 to have some update, information exchange, things like that. The task 43 general meetings next year, we are planning to host it 2024 this year. Sorry, in Switzerland. Sarah is going to host it at the campus. It'll be, I think, June 16th, 17th that week. So that's yeah, we are kind of finalizing the dates, those kind of things. Periodic information dissemination, of course, whenever it's time, right? Each deep dive use case, you can do it yourself, and we can also coordinate with the task 43. This is a draft list of deliverables, and you can see each working group has something we need to deliver for working group 0, reporting back to task IEA Wind, right? Annual reports, final task report at year 3, all of those regular webinar series. I will skip this for working group 4, and we can some phase 2 report for the deep dive cases. We can cover one report, cover a few deep dive use cases if we want to do that, right? Recommended practices, all of those. But this is still a draft in progress. Our goal is to deliver all of these so the broad community can benefit. You know. So how can you participate? For the working group for use case demonstration, if you want to get involved in the coordination, you can contact DAS. You can see DAS knows the best. I'm still kind of new learning. You can also talk to me. And the deep dive use case, you can, if you have some kind of new ideas and those kind of things, contact me and we can discuss. I will loop in the other members. Generally for task 43, we have the organizing committee introduced earlier, industry advisory board, and you can contact me and Sarah. So as I mentioned, we are kind of revisiting, reaching out to both committee members. We will host an industry advisory board meeting on the 31st, see who may still be interested and who else we can bring in as new members. Organizing committees similarly. Ideally, if we have the new organizing committee members leading one deep dive use case, it will be ideal. And different working group activities, if you are interested, contact Sarah since she is leading all those 3 things. This is a brief recap. I will skip. I think you have heard me talking enough. And I won't close without acknowledging all of these contributors, right? Sarah's contribution. I think Des mentioned her contribution was minimal. That's an understatement. She contributed a lot to the working group 4 during the early days. Coordination team, Steve, for speaking today. OC, IAB, and the funding. Of course, we official participants, our countries, we need to pay the membership deal to Task 43. And then I was really excited to see all of these participants from the, I think on the Slack channel, we have more than 350 members. It's unbelievable. I'm really motivated by such a huge group, so actively engaged in providing valuable contributions. As you can see, a lot of these efforts were from phase one. The colleagues, my former colleague Jason Fields, and I don't know, he left us, but he was the operating agent and birthed out from Fraunhofer. Two old former operating agents, their vision launching the whole task, so we can carry things on. All right, that's all we have prepared. I think also the time is up. I really appreciate you all for staying with us. I know, a lot of materials, but the recording will be posted at some point of time. You can come back to visit, or you can reach out to us with any questions. We really want to get the community together, working on valuable use cases for the community, and share with you all, also learn from you all. Okay, thank you.
Very good, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
May you all have a great day.
You.
Yeah.
Same to you. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.